Today we're going to talk about racism and what you can teach your child and what it truly means. I know that's a lot of controversy, but that should be fun. I want to make sure that your child will know how to not be accused of racism when they aren't racist, or not to be convinced that they're racist when they're not. So let's take the time right now to talk about that. So number one is you want to teach them the true meaning of the word racism. So racism means to degrade or devalue someone because of their race, or to treat them differently because of their race. It doesn't mean that you can't point out differences, because clearly there are differences. Somebody's skin might be a different color, for instance, or they may have come from a different country, for instance. That's fine. That's not racist to point that out. It's also not racist to celebrate it. So sometimes, you'll hear that it's racist to dress up like someone who's from Mexico and wear a sombrero, and that's somehow racist. It's not racist because it's not devaluing them. It's not putting them down. Racism means that you're putting someone down. It's not the same as celebrating the differences. So let your child know it doesn't mean racism when someone points out differences in people's skin color or eye color or hair color. It also isn't racist for them to point out differences in cultures. Differences are fine. Differences are great. Differences are wonderful. But what's not wonderful is to say because a person is a certain race, therefore they aren't worthy, they aren't valuable, they aren't as intelligent or whatever. That would be racist. Number two, tell them about melanin. Now, obviously, it's important for your children to understand why someone's skin might be a different color than theirs. So you want to give them that scientific information. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, depends on their age, but let them know that melanin determines the color of a person's skin. So the more melanin they have, the darker their skin will be, the darker their hair will be, or their eyes will be, or whatever. And the less melanin, the lighter those things will be. And it doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's like straight hair or curly hair. Doesn't matter. It's just one person's one way and one person's another, and all of it's fine. Number three, tell them character matters, not color. How a person behaves, how a person treats others, and what decisions that individual person makes are what matters. The color of their skin doesn't. Number four, everyone is deserving of fair treatment. Now, this is what I really wanted to talk about a little bit because it's getting really blurry. It's starting to be that if you hold up one race, then you're not racist. But if you hold up another one, you are. Or if you put down one race, you're not racist. But if you put down this other race, then you are. You know, that's getting really blurry. It doesn't matter what race. If you're putting them down, that's racist. Or if you're extending a benefit to one race over others, that's racist. So, for instance, I've heard in the news lately and read some articles and things where some races, for instance, Asians, will be penalized on tests to get into a university because they're Asian. Why is that? Because in the culture, Asian culture, a lot of times, they are really put a lot of emphasis on education, and so a lot of Asians are doing better on some of the tests, and so now they're penalizing Asians. That's racist. Each individual person should get the score that they get because it's the score they get. Doesn't matter what race they are. It's also true that when a company decides to give a certain race more preference over another race for a job, that would be racist. For instance, United Airlines recently said that they're going to make sure that at least 50% of their pilots are people of color or women. So what that means is they're going to make sure that 50% of their pilots are not white and not men. And that's discriminating. That's racist. I really don't care what color the pilot is. I care whether they're skilled. I care about their qualifications. And I want the best qualified, most experienced, and most skilled people to be hired. And if 50% of them happen to be people of color, that's fine. But if they don't, that's not okay. They shouldn't even have what color a person is on their applications. Because to do so, and then to choose someone over another person because you have to meet your 50% quota, that's racist. Because you're making a job determination, who gets the job, based upon their race. And that's a racist thing to do. So your children need to understand those kind of things are going on. And they should not feel like they're racist because they think it's wrong. So help your children hear what's racist when they hear something like, if you're a certain race, therefore fill in the blank. It's probably racist, just that. For instance, what are they going to hear? They might hear, if you're a certain race, you shouldn't get this job. If you're a certain race, you should vote this way. If you're a certain race, you should support this candidate. If you're a certain race, you should have these views. All of those things are racist. Some candidates even say, if you're really black, you're going to vote for me. Or if you're really white, you're going to vote for me. Or if you're Hispanic and that's a Hispanic candidate, you should vote for them. Or if you're Asian and they're an Asian candidate, you should vote for them. Why? You're only thinking so if you're a racist. Let your children know when they grow up and it's time to vote that they should be voting for someone who believes as they do. The policies that they believe in, that person either holds them or doesn't. If that person believes in the policies that they believe in, they should vote for them. It doesn't matter what their color is. Number 5, race has nothing to do with intelligence. So when you're telling them about melanin, you could also mention, if someone has more or less melanin, it doesn't make any difference as far as how intelligent they are. And they shouldn't assume someone is more intelligent because they are of a certain race or less intelligent because they're of a certain race. Number 6, race does not determine a person's views. Let your children know that they shouldn't assume someone believes something just because they're of a certain race. There are candidates that have said, if you really believe like a black person believes, you should vote for me. Of course, this was a white guy who said that. But really, that's just assuming that because they're a certain race, they should vote a certain way. That's not true. A person is an individual. Each person is an individual. Let your children know that. So if they meet a person of another race, that's just a whole new blank slate in their mind. That person could believe anything and think anything and do anything. They could either have good behavior or unacceptable behavior. They could be kind or they could be mean. They don't know yet. They just met him. And the race does not determine those things. And for you parents, I do have a book that I want to suggest, and it's called BLACKOUT, and it's by Candace Owens. I just read it recently and it's awesome. And you know what else is really great about it? It's on audiobook. You can even get it at the library, but I'll also put a link in the description below in case you want to get it as a copy to read or as an audiobook. But it's really good. It's written by a black woman who grew up in the United States, and she has so many great things to say. It's really eye-opening about her perspectives in racism in America. So I hope that you'll take the time to read that. I'm really suggesting it's for parents because it's not really a kid's book, but unless your kids are older. And if you do like what I said here, I hope you'll remember to give that thumbs up. That's always helpful to me, and I'd also love it if you subscribe. So if you would like to support me, I really hope you do that by hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. And I hope to see you here next week. Parents, you can do this.